for many lifetimes ago.
Well, that is the that's what this is about. This is about karmic connections, many lifetimes, karmic connections. That's what we're studying today.
Okay.
So a good question for me to ask is, Barb, that I know you have often second thoughts about participating with us. Why do you continue participating?
I can't think of anything better to do because I've put 30 years of my life into it because I think there is some value or a lot of value or something, or I benefited, and I don't know. I mean, I don't think sometimes I don't want to do it. I just think sometimes I get very discouraged. Sometimes I don't feel I'm up, I just feel discouraged sometimes, because of public ridicule or, just things like I feel irresponsible, like I don't feel good enough at it, like I don't feel like I've been successful, so I don't want to come and, be berated or have it pointed out that I'm unsuccessful, sometimes it's just emotional things. Why do I keep doing it? Because I think people, I was thinking that today because somebody was like getting all of my case last night about things, and I realized sometimes I do just because I think it's important and it's real, and so it has to be done. So someone's got to do it. So that's why I do it. So I want to, whatever, prove it or something like that, or just keep curing myself with it.
You say you want to prove it?
Not prove it, but I want to keep demonstrating that it works, I guess you could say.
I see. Well, I think that's a very good answer.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to go to, I want to go to Greg and ask the same question. Why have you, paid for this and supported it for all these many, many years and put way over $1 million into it to make it happen? Why have you done that, Greg?
That's a good thing.
Seems like a good thing at the time.
The time. Well, no, I've in the world as I know it now, it seems to be the best thing going to affect change and for real people for all of us to progress.
So it feels like the best.
The best world, yeah, and I mean, there are other causes that are about the world, like poverty and not enough food and not enough water and the environment and too much population, wars and religion, but all that can start with the people, with the change of the people. And it's always what it has to change, that people get along.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Good answer. Good answer. I think I'm going to stop on this question with both of you and tell everybody to go to skill 6. Go to skill 6 in the hierarchy of skills. I actually chose skill 6 somewhat arbitrarily because I'm starting to see that the entire web college is about karmic connection.
Mm-hmm.
That's the main theme of the web college, even though it's not specifically, stated as such. Now, Greg, you recently started what you might call an extramarital affair, even though you're not actually married to Franny, but started something like that with a woman. And you want to say a name for her so we can have something to handle to put on her? You don't have to use a real name, or you can if you want. It doesn't matter to me. Well, I just want to get into...
How about Jane Doe?
Jane Doe, with a Jane Doe.
The Marine Corps.
Well, no, if you were in the Marine Corps, they'd try you and you'd be always see it in your face.
Jane, yeah.
Now, why did you do that? Why did you go with Jane Doe?
I wanted to have some life other than what I was living right at that time.
Okay, so there's a reason. Now, give me a few, like rattle off a list of reasons like that.
I wanted sex. And
Sex.
To I wanted to use my abilities to woo somebody. I wanted to be accepted and wanted. I wanted a companionship. I wanted to have some activity outside of sitting alone in my room. I wanted to hear the music play like this, a cabaret, which oh, never mind.
Oh, yeah, right. All right, we can stop there with that. Now, something I want you to notice is that each answer that you gave, all your answers had something in common. They all basically began with "I wanted."
I know. I said them that way purposefully.
And
that's what I was.
And they were all things, like there was nothing in there that you wanted to give Nancy. Oops, now I said a...
Yeah.
There was but there was nothing in there to give her. You wanted to, you know, there was things you wanted to get.
Essentially, everybody that I've gone out with, I was, well, it was really that as opposed to like giving them curing. I
Very good.
give curing to people all the time anyway, so it was that was part and parcel, but not specifically why.
Okay, so I want you to test this question. Everybody test for Greg. Is it ego?
I guess yes.
I tested yes.
Barb, what'd you get?
Yes.
Barb? Well, just test that question. Oh, she's on mute.
Yes.
Okay, yes, okay. Now, Tess, do I have any agreements with negative entities that caused me to do this behavior?
Did I have any agreements with negative entities? Yes.
Are any of those agreements still in effect?
No. I still see negative entities there, but that's something I've really cleared. A lot has changed through this whole thing, and I knew when I was doing this that it was negativity, and I knew that I was after something. I actually knew that I was after clearing things, but it was more than intellectual and more than just it was more of experience and like really going to the dark side. But same again, trying to investigate what that was and how to really address it fully. I've been very aware of this the whole time.
Test this question. Are negative entities karmic connections? Everybody test this.
Yes.
I guess yes.
That's right. So negative entities are a form of karmic connection. Do you all know what free radicals are in your physical body?
Yeah.
And how
More or less.
free radicals bond with, you know, things in your physical body so that the things you need to bond with them can't. Because there's something already there occupying the space. Now, Barb, Greg, lower your cameras because I'm just seeing your ceilings too much. Too much of your ceiling. They bond so that good bonds can't happen.
I see. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Now, test another question. Can negative entities be people?
I suppose.
What do you get? Yes or no?
Well, I guess it can. I guess often they're in people. They inhabit people.
Okay.
I get no.
All right. Barb, what do you get?
Apologize, I had a little emergency there and I missed the question. Are there negative entities?
Can negative entities be people?
People. Yeah, they can come through people for sure.
Okay. Now, function, like what function is, and we're gonna have one of these topic classes on function. Okay, so just so you know, what function is? Function is the ability to bond with positive, viable people who, together will enable you to, if you're bonded with them, you'll be able to do things you can't do by yourself. And by the way, just so you all know, there's a lesson in Skill 6 called Ego Agreements with Negative Entities. So if anybody wants to pursue this negative entities further, there's a lot in this lesson. I'm moving on to a broader perspective here, so I don't know if we're going to get into too much of that. But let me go back to Bart. Okay. I'm not gonna pretend that I know whether this is true or not, but I just want to create kind of a fantasy of a good virtual reality for us to use to learn from, okay? Let's pretend that you have an assumption in your being. And your assumption is that that what you need and what you should have and what is out there waiting for you is a person who will completely support you. Like, this person is there for you. Doesn't care if you have sex with them or not, or whatever. That's not what it's about. Like, if you meet this person and they meet you, they're going to say, hey, here, come live on my land. I have a beautiful guest house you can have. I got this nice SUV, a couple years old. You're welcome to it. I got horses here you can ride, if you want. Just explore what you're supposed to be doing in life. I know that you're going to make a big contribution to the world. I will pay for you. Whatever you need, I will pay for it. This multimillionaire says this. Okay. Now, and you assume you should have this person. Now let's go to the particle attributes indexes. Okay? wouldn't your recognizability index have to be very high in order for that person to be able to see you?
Yeah.
Like, suppose you were walking down the street and the person's on the other side of the street and they're across the street, and you would want your recognizability index to be so high that this person spots you on the other side of the street and runs across the street, like through traffic, yelling, "Wait, wait, who are you? I need to talk to you. I know you from another life."
That's who Greg was.
Yep. Now, here's something else to think about. Maybe this person, like, let's say like it's like 3,000 years ago in China, okay? And you and this lord, you embark on an adventure, you know, to do something, to unify something or make something happen or improve something. You know, I have to say, do you know anything about Genghis Khan?
Not really. Besides the violence.
Well, Genghis Khan did a lot of good things for the world. He was a real statesman. And he created trade where there was none. And he was like the Google of his time. You know, he created trade and communication and a lot of other side effects where there was nothing. And so let's say you're trying to do something like that with this lord, and you guys don't make it and you die, and this person says to you, "We will meet again, and when we do, we'll achieve what we wanted to achieve. Sometime in the future, I know we'll have another life together." Well, here it is. He's on the other side of the street, spots you, and goes, "I don't know why, but I want to give you everything that you need," you know?
Right.
Well, that's why. It's a karmic connection.
I see. You got a couple of similar.
Now, that would mean there's a combination of his recognition index being very high and your recognizability index being very high.
I see.
So now you see the connection between this class and the other class on particle attributes. Now suppose, let's pretend that his recognition index is not very high.
Okay.
Okay? Barb, you're still with me, right? Okay. He walks down the street past you, but let's say that both your recognizability index and recognition indexes and workability indexes are very high. Your viability index is very high. And you see him over there and you say, "I don't know why, but he looks like a good person. I think I'm going to go over there and do my thing with him." So you go over and you say, "Hey, would you put this on your car? Maybe just donate something?" And he says, "Sure, sure." And he whips out, $10 and takes the bumper sticker, and you say, "Well, why don't we sit down and I'll show you how to cure something. How about that?" You end up running the outline with him. Now, this isn't good enough to get his recognition index up, but maybe it goes up a little bit. And he says, "Well, you know what? I think I'll come to one of your, what do you have, these evenings or classes or something?" You tell him, "Well, why don't you come over, meet me Monday night, and we'll be in this meeting together." And the guy decides to do coaching. And in the coaching, you take out a bunch of different past life traumas and viruses and remove rot and do all kinds of things. And lo and behold, his recognition index comes up and he actually starts to see you. And then he says, "You know what? why don't you move into this? I have this beautiful, vacant little, charming little cottage that nobody's using. I will pay for everything for you. No problem. You know, we were talking about, I was asking Greg, let me go back to Greg.
Yeah.
And I was asking Greg, how would we make money with this? You know, how would we, like if we had to pay our expenses, you ran out of money and we had to pay our expenses, how would we bring in daily cash? And remember you said you didn't know?
If we had to bring in daily cash right now,
Yeah.
I don't know. But obviously, if we are progressing to the point where we're attracting people and people are seeing us, I think some do, it would increase about how many people and the type of people that would be attracted to us.
Well, you know, just
Yeah.
about everybody, like, you know, I get this, these emailings from some of these New Age gurus, and all they're looking for that person who's going to do private sessions with them and pay them like, you know, $2,000 or $3,000 a month. Everybody does it the same way. That's what they do. There's no mystery. So yeah, you know, if you need to make cash, you figure out how to attract more people. For example, you know, putting comments on YouTube movies, and you do a lot of that. Let me ask Franny a question.
Yeah.
You've been posting comments on YouTube movies. How many do you post every day?
I usually post 10 for each of you, which is 20, and then some days if I really can't, like my father's computer is slow, I try to do at least 5 for each of you.
Okay. Very good.
Amazing. And you know, we have, on the Cure Drive, we have about 520 videos up.
Right.
We have 26 pages of 20 each. Some of those are other people's videos, but very few. And, you know, that's how that producer from the Dr. Oz show called.
That's right.
She's like everybody else.
Sure. You know, when I talked to her, she sounded exactly like the other people I talked to. She was like excited to be talking to me. I'm the big cheese to her, you know. I'm like, wow, you called me back, you know. Well, the point is now, Franny, if you do that, if you put up 10 a day, how many have you put up in 10 days?
100.
How about 30 days?
Well, since I put up 10 for each of you, I'm actually putting up in 10 days 200. And
30 days.
30 days would be 3 times 60, 60, I guess. 600, I mean. Yeah, thanks.
How about 3 months?
Well, 3 times 600 is 1,800.
So this is the principle of the 20-mile march. Like, you don't try to put up 50 things in one day. What you do is very steadily, every day, put things up. And hopefully, presumably, the karmic connection is such that this person walking down the street spots one of us and says, I don't know why, but I got to call this person. Now then, Ross, let me go to you.
Yeah?
You've had several calls from things that you posted on YouTube, yes?
Yes.
Now, what you have to be able to do is spot the person who is that key karmic connection.
Yes.
And you may not see that person until you're talking to 2 or 3 people a day.
Yes.
And that means probably posting a lot more movies. It also means
I do see Priscilla's, Anna Gloria's, and Alejandra's as I'm passing through them, but I post anyway, and sometimes when I see you, Bar, I still post Greg from the same movie, but at first I was avoiding that. I was trying to do it on movies that were completely unique.
don't do that. You want them to see more than one of us on the same
Yeah, I
movie.
changed my mode of operation after you told me that yesterday or the day before.
Yeah, because we're validating each other.
Yeah.
Yes.
All of a sudden, the person says, "Oh, there's a Pure Drive network." Okay, I get it. There's this volunteer network, so it isn't just this guy running his internet marketing business. It's these people want to help.
Exactly.
And the other thing that you're going to have to be able to do is weed out the people who are not karmic connections. You understand, Ross?
Yes. Yes.
Or who are they're distant karmic connections that they need so much work to get into relationship with you that they're not able to do the work. And that's why we have an outline.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, this person, running into the person that we're talking about, like Barb, like this person who says to you, "I want to give you everything, I don't want anything back. Whatever you want to, if you give me something, that's fine. If you don't, you don't have to give me anything. I know you're worth it." Finding this person, number one, is going to mean you're not with somebody else. Because if this, imagine this person, sees you walking down the street and he says, "I've got to talk to her." Okay? And you happen to be surrounded by people who have negative intentions and a negative impact on you. So this guy comes running over and he says, "Who are you? I want to get to know you." And these people start interspersing. "Well, come on, Barb, you're late. Let's go to the, you taking out that Cure Drive thing again? Why do you keep doing that, And they start attacking you in front of this person. Now what's happening is he starts, his connection with you is very tenuous anyway. You see? Or worse yet, you just say, well, he looks at you and you're with one person and he says, "Well, she's obviously with somebody, she's with her friend, and I'd be interfering or interrupting if I go over." So he doesn't come over. So you have to be this bondable, free, viable being with all of these little, docking stations sticking out of you everywhere that he can just pull up and dock. He can just come over and plug right into you without anything getting in the way of that. And that, it's kind of like what I've done in my life. I attract a lot of good stuff. And I do it. I have karmic connections, obviously, with all of you. And I do it because you can see that I have time and space for you. Yes, Ross?
Yes.
You know?
Absolutely.
Yeah, that I'm not like focusing all my attention on struggling in my relationship with Franny, let's say.
Absolutely not.
Because you'd like walk away and say, well, I don't want to call Byard. He's probably like in the middle of something, you know. See? But you know, if you call me, I'm probably there.
Yeah, sure.
And I'm alert, and I'm not like, you know, I'm not going to answer the phone and say, oh, I don't know. I don't know what I can't talk right now. I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm in trouble here. I'm in a lot of trouble. You know, I'm never in trouble. I'm always ready to be there for you. I have kept myself free to be there for you. So now we come to this question. We come back to Greg. Tell me something, Greg. Was there anything that you ever felt like you wanted to give Nancy that she couldn't live without? That you felt I gotta give this to her because she needs this. Like I really care about her, and I'm the only person who can give this to her. She's not going to get it if I don't give it to her. Did you ever feel that way about her?
Sure.
Okay, so tell me what that was.
Well, the ability to cure things and to look at the world, to continue growing, expanding, and seeing people and progressing her relationships with family and others.
Well, tell me, did you have to turn it into a love affair to do that?
No.
So why did you? Because maybe the other things that you wanted were more important to you
Yes, they were.
than giving her this.
It was not about her. It was about me.
Yeah. Okay.
So it's like
So the question is, do you care about people? Funny thing. See, everybody looks at me and they think that I'm this very self-centered person who like puts myself first and makes sure I always have everything I need, and which I do, you know, and I always put myself first and make sure I have everything I need. And I'm like that Humphrey Bogart character, you know, who always says, you have to take take care of number one. You know, remember in the Maltese Falcon, he says, you got to take care of number one first, you know. And that's right. And I used to say this in the courses we gave, the seminars, that if you don't have what you need, you're not going to have anything to give anybody else. And it is because I make sure that I have what I need that I can make these karmic connections with other people. It's because I care about other people that I make sure I care about myself. The two things really, like most people see them as in opposition, like you either care about yourself or you care about other people. But you really can't care about both, but that's only because they're not capable of caring about anybody, whether it's other people or themselves, or caring about anybody past a certain, you know, past a certain extent. You know, they can care to some extent, but not beyond that. So, and of course, then there's all these, you know, like normal people who take care of their families and they make sure everybody has what they need. And there's a lot of good people out there, a lot of people like that who, you know, manage to, you know, they really do care. And then they have their illnesses, you know, their things where they get compromised. So, like, if you look at this skill, okay, like just peer into your computer at skill 6, and what you're looking at when you look at skill 6 is like this gigantic directory of things like disinformation, downgrade, upgrade, pacts, pretenses, spells, and it's just, what are all these things doing here? And all of these things are things that will interfere with you having, maintaining, and making the karmic connections that you need to have, maintain, and make. in order to build something that's beyond what you can build by yourself, if in fact you're trying to build anything by yourself, which only you would know that, you know. Me, you know, I know that I am trying to bond as best I can with whoever presents themselves. In this case, you are here with me, and I'm trying to do whatever bonding I can, whatever bonding is possible with you, and build with you what I could not build on my own. And I'm very aware that I can't do it by myself, that I need you. Very aware of that. You know, I'm a real team player. Let's put it that way. So, let me give you a chance to talk and air your thoughts, if you have any.
Well, I think that if you don't take care of yourself and you want to take care of other people, you are having to sacrifice and you can't help anyone. If you take care of yourself first, it may seem to be selfish to some people, but it's the only thing that works if you want to take care of other people.
When I read some of these books on numerology and everything, they say that this lifetime for me is about being selfish for myself. Because I've always sacrificed for others. Joan of Arc, etc.
Which is not really being selfish, Franny, in my opinion. To care about oneself is not really being selfish. It's normal.
I agree with you. It's just that I didn't see it that way, I guess. You know, it seems like being selfish.
If I don't feel well, if I'm not strong, if I'm not happy, what can I do for other people? Complain with them.
You're right. You're right. I concur.
What do you think, Greggy?
Well, the trap I got into was I was caring so much. I mean, I was over caring. It was like dysfunctional in that I had some duty or some sort of edict that I had to do all these things for other people and where I was not doing for myself. And I had to sacrifice myself was the actual the dysfunction I was playing with, so that I did not feel good. I mean, I of course I feel good helping others and doing, you know, I've got a real sense of service and a wonderful life from that that's beyond what most people comprehend. And they do see that in me, by the way. I mean, that's what people remark. You know, that's what Priscilla was saying, Franny, in that session.
So what was she saying?
Well, what you were saying about Priscilla, what she said about
you?
Yeah.
Well, what she said was a number of things. She said that you were a prince who didn't know what he should be doing, but that you have the capability of putting on, and she putting on the robe and going up on the stage and leading people and being really great, etc., etc., but that you just had some kind of immaturity and you weren't sure.
Yeah, she said I could be a leader or something.
That's
so,
right. You have it in.
Somebody's calling at 5:01. That's not us. I'm not going to answer it. Okay. I don't know who that was. Oh no, maybe that was Barb. Barb, are you on? Yeah, you're on.
It's 5:05.
Yeah, 5:05. Okay. So again, that's my ego was. I mean, I was trying to get something, but not in terms of that balance, or how do I say this? What we're just talking about, where I have to.
Well, I think you were trying to get it from negative entities,
I was
which
trying to.
isn't a very good idea.
Go right ahead and say it. I was trying to say it myself, but so it's getting from negative entities. Well, that's not how I was going to say it, and I don't really know what I was going to say now.
We'll take a minute.
Hello. Thank you. That I did not give to myself as part of the equation of just giving, where I'm giving and it's giving to myself and to other people too, that I'm taking care of myself, which makes me bigger and stronger to care for other people and give to other people. It's all comes from the same place. Getting for myself is not giving to myself. I'm done.
Getting for yourself is not giving for yourself, Greg. That's what you're saying.
That's what I said, if you rightly understood, that
Can you
I'm
explain
trying to
the
get something, trying
Yeah.
to get something, as opposed to give it to myself.
Okay.
That's when I'm trying to get something, I'm trying to get it, and the other people don't matter. It's like nothing matters other than the getting.
Okay.
That's what my life is. My life is getting and building and accumulating in me.
But that's what I was trying to tell Barb, and it applies to you too, that if you're trying to get those things from people who can't give it to you, you are not going to be able to give yourself anything. You'll be trying very hard or taking what you can get, but it isn't what you could really have. Like, like listening to the wrong people and being, listening to people in negative beingness and then being affected by that. Like, I know Barb was very affected by a lot of stuff.
Well, Greg, this I think that you hit on something here that's really important, because most people consider that trying to get something for themselves is exactly the same thing as giving themselves something.
Yes.
And it's not. It's not.
No, and that's the way the world works. A lot of it.
Mm-hmm.
There's an undercurrent of the right stuff, and that's why people say, I go to church religiously. I go to church because they still haven't really gotten it. It's like churches all the time.
Right.
You have to be reminded of it, because the way the world works, or seemingly works. And I think it's what people don't like about Western culture. They don't see that this is really operational in our life. That's what our country really is about. That therefore they have to have religious edicts that you must do this all the time. It's either in a socialist way, or total, like the Soviets, or it's in a religious way, like the fundamental Islam. I'll go a little bit like this, because it's a mass dysfunction. And when you're in the Soviet culture, this giving, without actually giving to themselves, turns into they gotta get.
Mm-hmm.
It's really corrupt. It's really a weird culture. Same thing in the fundamental religious thing. They want you give so much as a matter of you must do this. That they'll kill for it. That's really giving, isn't it?
Well,
Barb, did you want to say something?
no, I really am just listening. I mean, I see some things, but it seems like Greg is inside of it more, so I'll let him talk.
See, well, it made me think.
I'll just say that I know Greg, I think sometimes Greg doesn't, you don't know, it's just a slight orientation too, because I'm sure that woman and everybody you meet on whatever context gets something from you, like you're special, so they're benefiting from you, and you don't always know that. And I think if you use like someone said before, like, did she know that you're in a relationship or that you're the executive director or something, like, people should know who you are. It doesn't mean, I don't think it means that you can't have great experiences with people and stuff, but it's because it's just who you are. It's not because you're trying to sneak something or get something, or
Right.
But you're always giving just by being yourself, I think. And if you know who you are, what your purpose is or your mission is, and then come from that, you won't misbehave or mislead someone, or have them think something that's not true. I mean, the person might have still been as enjoyable to be around had she known that she didn't have a potential love or future with you than she was thinking whatever she was thinking. And that's what I'm thinking. And I'm also I'm thinking about what Byron said about my situation, because sometimes I think, I'm ready to retire. I'd like to just have my own little life in the country with a home and kids and family and focus on that. Doesn't mean I can't have that or be on somebody else's house in the country or farm, but I guess I think a lot of us, especially me, we kind of are walking with God, So we have part of our job is to reconnect other people with this walk, or to remind them that they have that, so we can't get too distracted. We have to be in the world but not of it, and not get too caught up in these things so that it gets in the way of our other job that we seem to owe humanity or something. But I don't think that's a like maybe Fran had jobs in the past lives where she really did sacrifice too much, or maybe I was a martyr in the past life too, but it doesn't have to look like that. It just is just accepting our rules and jobs.
I played this game in Oscar too. He had this little workshop that I did, and it was kind of what we based the death game on, and intense. But it was called the Lifeboat, and there was only one person who could survive in the lifeboat. This went on for, quite a while, and everybody was talking, and then this person would drop out, and that person would drop out, and it was finally between two people, me and someone else. And I could not believe that I had gone 99%, and I opened my mouth and said, "That's okay, you go ahead." I sacrificed myself at the last 1% of what I did. And that's what my life was about. That's a real indicator of who I was.
Rach, you remember what I said to Russ that time in Burlingame? It's exactly the same thing.
Right.
He owed me thousands of dollars, and you were saying, "You've got to pay Greg back." And I said, "Oh, that's okay."
Right.
I said, I wanted it at some point. "Oh, not right now. No, I don't need it now."
I know. I had a fist fight with Russ, and he kept saying, "Well, Greg is fine with our arrangement." And I said, "Well, no, he's not, because behind your back, he talks to me about how he wants his money back." And Russ got really incensed by that. But that's, I was trying to tell the truth.
Okay, back to.
Okay.
Thanks. I was just thinking, it made me think, why is it that I care about people? Why do I care about people? And the reason that I care about people is because I see people as valuable. Now, that's not necessarily true of everybody. As I get to know people, they assume different values. But I care about people because I know that I can achieve more with them than without them. So I want to maintain them and keep them in good condition and give them what they need and help them and be there for them when they need something. Like, I was passing my next door neighbor Ed, and he said that he was having a back problem. I was on my bicycle going home, and he was like, like looking like he really had a serious back problem. And I got off the bike, I stopped the bike, I went over there, and I actually cured his back problem in 10, 15 minutes. And I didn't really have like a lot of extra time that day to stop and do that. But I said to myself, well, Ed has plans. He had borrowed my chainsaw to saw his trees. And I was thinking that would be a good thing for the neighborhood, and I'd like to see those trees get cut. So, I was giving myself something. And it worked because he trimmed all the trees. And the trees are still trimmed at this point. And this was like a year ago. So I got a long-term benefit from investing a short-term 15 minutes in curing somebody of something when the guy doesn't do immunics and he hasn't got a password, and I actually pushed on his arm to make this happen. I was arm testing him. I didn't try to like make him cure it the right way. I just stopped and I fixed him, and it worked. He hasn't had a back problem since, as far as I know. He never seems to have anything. So it was probably just a fluke. He threw it out and I put it back, and it was okay after that. Anyway, that's why I care. I care about people because there's a big, and also for whatever reason, I have an emotional investment in people. And I don't know why that is, but I feel an emotional investment in just about everybody. Even people who are total strangers who I see in the supermarket or something. Probably because everybody we ever see is some kind of karmic connection.
Yeah, I'm going crazy with that.
I do too, and I'm talking to people, asking questions, even in conversations I'm not really involved in. And a woman looked at me, and the woman who was the Pilates instructor turned and said to her, "Greg's like that. He's just with everybody," or something like that. Anyway, but yeah, I do too. It's like everyone. I'm in everyone's life.
That's what we.
And I just know how much what are they useful for? How much do I need to give? What can they actually understand right now? What little kernel can I give them right now? Maybe just, "Hi, how are you?" Just like that's all it has to be sometimes. Because they perk up. Oh yeah, he cares.
Sure. Beyond that too, I mean, who knows what you're doing? I cure people all the time. I cure every person I pass, or adjust everything. I mean, I ride my bike. It's like such a blast. And we're just modern day people. We're not like Amma, where we sit in a room and hug everybody. We just run around life and hug them that way. Or we're a different venue, and that's why the internet's important too.
Yes.
Yeah.
I feel like we're in a burning building, and I'm just getting as many people out as fast as I can. It's kind of fun. Like, you just keep moving them through, and then you find your allies, and you get them to work with you too.
Well, I was telling Byron, if you do a good job, that helps with your manifesting. And I noticed that a long time ago, I used to have a very hard time talking to people about problems I had, and make it seem so serious and everything. But now I walked up to the post lady. I had to get a refund, which is kind of weird. But anyway, I just smiled at her and said, "How are you doing today?" And then I just told her what I wanted. And then at the end, I told her, "Oh, gee, this is great. You did a beautiful job." And she smiled at me. And I feel like that's doing a good job.
Yep.
Because
it's being nice to yourself. That's giving yourself something to that person's view. I remember the first one day when we were in Philadelphia, the first time I got to whatever dimension it was, where I started seeing everybody as me. And we were on our way to Sugami one night, and we were driving, and I remember getting out of the van. We were at a gas station. I saw some little Indian guy pumping gas, and I was like, "There's me." Everybody was me. All of a sudden, I realized suddenly that everything I saw was a reflection of myself, and been kind of that way ever since in a way. I'll forget for moments, but then then it's easier to treat people kindly or just properly because you realize how would you want to be treated, you know, what's the right way to treat someone. And also it's like, it's a vibration and suddenly everybody recognizes you. People are tipping their hats or saying hi or waving, you know, like, it's like, why is that? Because they recognize you too, or they recognize themselves in you, and it's just, it's healthy. I think it creates health. Because it's like the opposite of cancer, like everything's harmonic together, you know, rather than everybody going off in their own direction. We're all like moving like one connected organism. So I like to create, you know, it's like I create order wherever I am. Like I said, I used to do that in nightclubs, clearing up a nightclub. Now I'll just do it, you know, like a whole in traffic or in the street or in a, you know, wherever I am. Because it's just.
One of the funny things I came across in my travels about herpes, you know, on YouTube, was there's one that's just found, and it's supposed to cure acute herpes. It's really interesting. I don't know, maybe it has a subliminal message, but it's like this sound wave, and it shows you the sound wave, and that's all it is. It's a video of the sound wave.
Probably works. It probably works. But the person, you know, as soon as they stop watching, it's just like us. They'll lose it, and they won't know how to reconnect with that sound wave until they clear things to stay there. Like all these things are true, but we have no to get to themselves. And you know, even when I get really, you know, like feel like I missed, you know, like I'm upset or I missed something, that's when I also can use anybody to clear myself with. I could grab a stranger off the street or call whoever, and I'll just stay on the phone until I'm clear, you know, and then it's like I feel like that's the job too. Like you have to get past it, no matter how sloppy it looks, and no matter how many people I have to talk to, and even if the person is supposedly like, you know, below me or a different stature, I just let them clear me.
You're really slobbering this weekend.
I don't care. It makes me stronger. You know?
I thought it was better than, I mean, God, can you imagine if you held all that in? Jeez.
Yeah, well, people hold that in their whole life. And that's like, look at Celeste or people like that, or they say, you know, they can't, you know, they'll come before in my bathrobe, you know, like I don't even I go outside in the fucking street in my bathrobe. I don't care. But, you know, like people like hold on their whole lives, and that's not very healthy. And once I discovered that, which I think was back in, you know, our old courses, I realized this is like, you know, you never really do have to be sick another day in your life because we have everything we need. You don't even have to feel bad for very long because you can just keep working your way through it, even if you're not masterful at it, because there is another side. And now that
I was glad I called you. I'm really glad I called you.
For example, I'm sorry? Because I was saying I just Ross and now and people like that, I realized that Alejandra, I can use these people in 2 seconds out, or if I'm really, you know, I'll call you, if I test to call you, until the thing is done, you know, until I'm on the other side of it. Communication really is, you know, that's this shocker, you know, that's what you have to do sometimes, and some people who don't do that, they're going to be limited. There's only so much you can do. That's why we say people who don't show themselves on meetings or on videos, I mean, how far do they expect to go?
Well, okay, I realized, I think that, like, in this meeting, right here, I think I realized why we have never attracted a real ally or the money to pay our expenses, and a lot of other things, too. And it came from Franny's little formula, which is that if you do a good job, you will manifest things, and so presumably the better job you do, the more you will manifest. And then all you have to be able to recognize what you've manifested and make use of it. If you can't see it, but you manifest it, it really doesn't matter. You're not going to be able to you're not going to get anything out of it. But all those things being equal, you can get quite a bit out of it. And so the thing that I realized is that it's pretty obvious that we haven't been doing a very good job. And I was wondering, well, gee, why not? And the answer to the question, I think, is that we simply never worked it out and systematized it. Like as recently as a couple of days ago, I was talking with you, Greg, and I asked you, how would you bring in money? And you didn't really have a whole lot of ideas. So I would say that that would indicate that you had never systematized and worked it out. And so you were not able to do a good job, because you can't really do a good job unless you have, for example, a checklist. One of the things in this book that I've been reading, it's called the Checklist Manifesto. It's written by a physician who did a checklist for the World Health Organization. And when they created this checklist, they decided to test it in hospitals, and they chose, you know, Tanzania, and they also chose Chicago as places to test it. So they had the rich hospitals and the poor hospitals, and everybody assumed that, of course, it was going to help the poor hospitals a lot. But what they didn't realize was that it helped the rich ones just as much, because the rich ones, it seems, were not doing a good job either. They had all these various causes of death, where people died when they didn't have to, that the checklist prevented these people from dying in the same kinds of operations, these surgeries. So, moral of the story is that, like, when I look at this outline is our checklist, and when I look at it, I see a lot of things that we've always done, and they've always worked for us. And then I see some things that we've never done, probably, like tell people it's a cult. I don't know if I've ever done that, or if anybody else has. But what I realized also is that I don't know if anybody, including me, ever did all these things together with one person in one session in sequence, so that the person, you know, learned how to do this and then became part of the community and then signed up for the web college and then assessed their chances of actually, like, staying connected and realized that they had work to do. And so I've never done a good job. And if I've never done a good job, then what I haven't manifested makes a lot of sense. Which is, you know, it's like what we were talking about Barb about you finding this partner. This person who says, I will smooth out the road for you. I'll pay for everything. Explore, like, figure out how to do it. I know you're going to do a huge thing for the world. I give this to you. And when we got into it, we started realizing that it was this gigantically improbable occurrence, because not only did certain of your particle indexes have to be high, but certain of the other persons also had to be high. And they had to be high at the same time that you both occurred in the same place and could see each other. And you both had to be not occupied enough to be able to see each other. Now this is a pretty tall order. You know, that's a lot of things happening at once, unless you are rigorously applying a program of cure all the time, and you're never sidetracked. So, hi there. So
yeah, everybody in the world can see you in speaking videos.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
They feel I'm naked?
Yeah.
We've tried,
You
but
can see that you're emotionally naked, because I just like that. Well, I'm seeing a couple things from what you're saying.
Mm-hmm.
Two things. One is, I think as a group, we are hard on ourselves. I know that I am, and as you can tell. I mean, I can just look at my own morale and look at Greg's, for example. It's like we constantly have this experience of not doing enough, not there yet, not good enough, not whatever, not having what we really want, having to sneak what we want, or whatever that tone of voice is, or that tone of attitude. And then the other thing is like this perfect interaction that you're kind of talking about that could happen if everything was right, and like what is the outcome? It's, like sometimes I think the outcome is unclear. Like we're like the end of disease on the planet, or this on TV, or that person getting a signal, or that person signing up to web college. Like everything. So, like I think we're hard on ourselves. Like I remember when I first got on Facebook, and I was like. I felt I was controlling the world. I was like, creating a feverish pitch around these people I don't even know, and like. I feel like I helped. I'm a light worker. I just was pushing things in the right direction. I don't care if I get credit or if I'm living on somebody's ranch. Like I knew.
All right.
I know that we can
let me interrupt.
I know that we make a difference. In other words.
Let me interrupt you.
Not the new age.
Let me interrupt you, because the outcome of the example I was giving was very clear.
That the person's an ally and says, "I love you, Barb, and you can live on my property and do whatever you want to do."
No.
And I would do just
see, it's my fantasy, so it's my outcome.
Okay.
And so, I was very clear about it.
Okay.
The outcome was the person says, I support you completely.
Okay.
Whatever you need,
Greg did to you.
whatever you need, I will provide it. That was the outcome.
Okay, so you already have that with Greg.
There wasn't anything beyond that.
Okay.
It was completely defined, and it's over.
Okay.
There's nothing more to discuss about it.
Okay.
So, but what we're talking about now is, okay, you were talking about being hard on ourselves, and I kind of agree with that, and that we're, as a group, kind of hard on ourselves. And what I noticed when I created this outline, I stopped being hard on myself and other people because it isn't necessary. You either do the outline or you don't. It's a defined thing. Like if I tell somebody it's a cult and they say, "Oh no, I'm not interested in being in a cult, thanks anyway," and they walk away, I've completed the outline. I don't have to be hard on myself, and I didn't fail. They failed.
Okay.
So that's it. We used to get 90% of the people in the intensive in power. How did we do it? We had a very clearly defined set of things, activities that we did with people, and if the person then didn't sign up for power, that was that, But generally, we came up with them one by one, we looked at what worked, and we did them all. We didn't drop any of them out. Like there was a point in the intensive where I knew that I had to get all the assistants outside and stand them in a circle and play roles with them for 45 minutes. If I didn't do that, the intensive went to hell in a handcart. If I did it, there was this huge victory, this overwhelming victory. So I did it. Every time I was there, I did it.
Well, that is important, knowing what to focus on at any stage of the game.
You don't have to be hard on yourself if you know what to focus on.
Yeah, but
like Greg, what happened with you when you were with this woman? Do you think that you maybe just didn't know what to focus on, so you defaulted to all this other behaviors that you did? Greg?
I'm sorry.
Hello? Are you there?
I thought you were talking Barb about.
I wasn't. So, the question again was? Were you listening?
I had briefly gone off.
Where did you go?
To,
Get a date. Get a date.
to check on Facebook, to check my messages, things like that. Check PayPal.
So you mean you left the meeting and started checking PayPal?
I briefly left.
Then she said, goodbye, everybody, thanks. And Bayard's talking to Barb. They'll be doing that for half an hour. She's going to go into her thing
I
again.
thought maybe you could.
Bayard's going to start struggling with her. I don't need to listen. I don't need to hear that, right?
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah, but so, because you have no power. And that means that you're not bonded with us. Not really. You understand that? Because, see, if you were bonded with Barb and me and you wanted to give us something, you would cut right through that and you would say, stop. And you're not getting anywhere with this. You know, let's talk about something that matters. You'd come up with something to talk about that mattered. You choose something. You would take control. So you wouldn't be checking PayPal. Well, you know, they struggle. Got it?
Yep.
So this is Karmic Connection. This is what this is what Karmic Connection looks like in nature. Now, just because I told you all this and now you're sitting there interacting with me doesn't mean we have that. You do understand that, right?
Yes. I do.
Yeah. Like, we don't know what we got. Still with me?
I am.
Okay. So, I will repeat my question that I asked you, because I think it was an important question. And the question was, did you just default to the sleazy behavior because you didn't know? Barb, if you're going to type, now see, Barb went away now. That's okay, you can go on mute, but just go on mute if you need to text with somebody or whatever, okay?
Did I default?
Yeah, did you just default to that because you didn't actually know what to do? It's hard to know, huh?
Well,
Not real
there's that
sure.
point of, there's always a point of not knowing what to do all the time. I mean, there's always that, if there's something beyond what you're doing. So I always know what I'm doing, but if there's the next thing, do I know what to do? And as soon as I say I don't, then I default to, no, I don't know what to do.
And then what do you do?
At any moment.
Do you then
Yeah,
tend to
no.
try to hold on to the person by, you know, having sex with them or wanting something from them? Is that
I wasn't trying to hold on anyway.
what happens when you don't know what to do?
I don't know what to do. There's so many not know what to do in terms of being here with my father and being, you know, just sitting in the room and
All right.
spending 24 hours a day for years.
Let's try an example, because I don't want you to go off the deep end and start struggling. Okay, so let's just try an example.
Just showing you a little bit of what my life was at the time.
Let's say you meet this woman, and you start out and you say, you know, let me show you something. Test this. Can I cure things? And like, see if you get a finger movement. She gets one, and you go, oh great. Do you feel any different? And she says, well, not really, no. And you go, okay. Well, that means you basically probably have at this time a weak connection. It's a connection, but it's a weak connection. Mm-hmm. Okay. Because I added this to the outline yesterday.
That's good.
That you evaluate people's connections right from the beginning.
They should hear that.
Yes.
Because they think they have a strong connection. They go off saying, "Oh, I know about this."
Yeah, you evaluate their connection.
Oh, yeah, I got it.
So then you go through the outline and you tell her it's a cult, and then she's laughing. That's fun, you know. And then you say, here, where there's a bunch of us here on Twitter, and she goes, oh, let me get my smartphone out, and she finds it and she follows it on Twitter, and then you show her you ask her for an immediate support step, and then she says, well, there's a lot of things I could do, like I could have like a bunch of my friends over and I could show them this or whatever. I don't really want to do anything right now. And so you say, okay, just how about anything? Just donate $5, or put a bumper sticker on your car. Well, no, really, just hear me. She says, I choose not to support right now. I am a free person. I want my space. I want to be free to make a choice here. And I'm just telling you I choose not to do anything. It doesn't mean I'll never do anything. And you say, okay, great. Well, I'll tell you what. Here's the movies right here. And you whenever you feel like you choose to, you can start learning more about yourself and this stuff. And then you walk away and talk to somebody else. You never have an affair with her. You never believe she's powerful. You never get into any of that stuff. You just realize that she wouldn't even support $5 worth, so she was not somebody you wanted to spend very much time with, because she wasn't that powerful. And you walk away. And so then, would you say that there's any place in there where you don't know what to do, or there's more to do that you don't see? Absolutely not, right? You saw everything, you knew everything, you did everything, it came out the way it came out. You don't have to be hard on yourself,
right,
or uncertain, or try to hold on to anything, or whatever. You know. Everything becomes known.
Yes.
That's what checklists do. You see, in these surgeries, I'm reading about these surgeries, do you know one of the things they check for? They count the sponges.
Absolutely. There's known to be many sponges in people.
That happens all the time. It's this simple, stupid thing. They have to then open the person up again and take the sponge out.
Or they don't.
So that's where you get unknowns.
I think they count everything.
What, Ross?
I think they count everything.
They can't. Well, yes, of course they count everything. I know they count everything. I like using very specific examples. That's why I said the sponges. Ross?
Yeah.
You understand?
Because they can. I understand.
You understand? Listen,
they can leave anything.
Ross, when you talk to people,
yes,
make it specific.
Like
say the sponges instead of they count everything. Okay.
Okay.
Everything is vague. Sponges is specific.
Okay.
Make people have mental pictures in their minds. Okay.
Thank you very much.
That's what you want to do. You want to communicate in such a way that people picture things.
Okay.
Yeah, so I'm giving you a short communication lesson. Now, so this was our class on Karmic Connection. We have about 2 minutes before we end at 1:15. Obviously, we've only covered this tiniest fraction of what you could cover when you're talking about karmic connections. The tiniest fraction. And even with that, I would suggest that you listen to this movie several times. Because there's a lot, we went through a lot, and then we passed into something else, and then beyond that to something else. And each thing is something that you need to assimilate in and of itself. Everything in this is critically important. But if you do that, if you assimilate the things in this class, you will know how to make karmic connections, even though you may not necessarily be able to do so. Because, as I was saying before, if you look at skill 6, you've got spells, you've got pretenses. Do you understand how pretenses interfere with karmic connection? Barb, go back to you. Can you tell me how pretenses interfere with karmic connection?
Yeah, I can just sort of speculate.
Sure.
Like, if I would pass by an ally that, if I would, in a pretentious way, sort of try to become familiar or friendly or in a relationship with someone rather than actually satisfy our karmic connection, which might be to accomplish something bigger than just whatever I see could happen between the two of us.
Everybody tests, do I have any pretenses?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like maybe even what I was saying before, like it's slightly pretentious. Think, oh, it's already happening. It's happened. I don't.
Good. Good example. Good example. But I want you to test too, Barb. Do I have any pretenses? Just test right now.
Yeah. Yes.
Okay, so you test yes. I wanted to tell you something, and we're gonna stop now. But I just wanted to say this to you. I have always seen you as a person who was absolutely free of pretenses.
That's what a lot of people tell me.
And you know why? It's because I was actually not really there for you completely enough to see the kind of pretenses you have that don't look like what most people have when they have pretenses. So I thought, because you don't have the kind that most everybody has, that you didn't have any, but you just gave me a great example of one. I never would have even thought of that as a pretense, but you got it right away.
Well, I kind of learned through Greg's experience there, yourself and things.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So we can cure this, and we can bond with people and care about them. We can do it. That's the message of this movie. We can do it. With this ability to cure things that we have, we can actually bond and we can fulfill our karmic destinies with the people we've always cared about for eons.
Because they get really clear about what that's going to look like.
And by the way, next week's class that we have on Tuesday is going to be on immune dysfunctions.
Wow, great.
And the thing to study is the list of immune dysfunctions. I decided that earlier today.
Okay.
So thank you all for being here.
Thank you. Can we link our higher bodies?
I think so.
You what?
Why not? Link our higher bodies.
Oh, link our higher bodies. Oh, well, certainly, Ross.
Thank you.
Who's high? Who are you calling high? Hey.
We link.
I'm linking my higher bodies with you.
Yeah.
I'm linking.
And the horse you rode in on. And the fellow that was behind Barb during this call.
And with my two kitties, please.
And your two kitties.
Thank you. That was very sweet.
See you later, alligators.